Hello, eRank. Oh, it's going to be one of these days. Welcome to another Thursday Live with me, Pam Duthie, and which way is she? Her, Starla Moore. I can't figure out
Okay.
cameras and things.
Is it are you guys as tired as we are? Are you guys exhausted too? Is there something in the air? Let us know. Um Guys,
Yeah,
happy
if we're flagging
Thursday.
today, just bear with us.
Yeah, it has been a week. Hey Nina, are you still in the chat? I saw that you were the first question, but your question came in like way before we started, so I wanted to see if you were actually still here. Guys, happy Thursday. We have four early bird questions from the Facebook group. If you guys ever want to cut in line and get your questions in early, we have an early submissions post every Wednesday in the eRank group, which is linked down below. You can post your questions on that thread pinned in our group announcements at the top of the group, and we allow you to cut in line and get your questions asked early. So we've got a couple that we're going to get through, and then we will be popping right in to our live chat. Okay. Oh, Starla's volume is very low compared to Pam's.
Oh,
I don't know why.
I can turn me down a bit. Oh, hang on. Right, hang on. Starla had been turned down. Right.
Oh,
Speak.
talking. Can you hear me talking? Am I talking any louder? Let me know.
Uh, Yeah, I seem very loud just now. I don't know. I'm only looking at lines waving on the screen. I can't tell. So let us know if we're a bit more even.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll go ahead and move right along. We will get our Facebook questions out of the way. There's only four of them, and then we will get to all of your questions in the chat. Okay. That's better. Awesome. Starla, you have an echo.
Oh, I'll turn. That's right. That's my end. I've found a tutorial for how to sort that echo out, but I haven't had time to do it. It's all very complicated.
Turn my volume down a whole lot on your end, and
Yep, you're
I can,
whispering on my end.
yeah. All right. Okay, so first question is from Sam. Found on Etsy. I assume you mean spotted on Etsy. Have 20 keywords I'm monitoring, and I get the same 6 to 8 items show up that are not even matched to any of those 20 keywords. Mixed in some keywords that should be strong. Suggestions. So they're being found for keywords that they're not using in their listings.
Um, right. Hopefully, you can clarify if you're being found for keywords that you've not inputted into Spotted on Etsy. That's a thing. Um, Spotted on Etsy, you go to the monitor place and you put in edit keywords and you put in the keywords that you want us to check, and we go and check once a day and see where you're ranking in the Etsy API for those keywords. But we also we have a huge database of all the other keywords that people have put in. So, as a little freebie, eRank will also go and search for all the other keywords that we've got on our database. So, you might be spotted for keywords that you hadn't thought of. So, that would be why you're being seen for keywords that you haven't put into Spotted on Etsy. If you're being seen for keywords that you haven't used in your listings, that is just how Etsy works. It can mix and match all the words and phrases that you use in your titles, tags, descriptions, attributes, sort of everywhere. So it might have just mixed and matched up some words to create a keyword to match you for something that buyers are searching for. That happens. That's a good thing. What I do, I'll go back. If you connect up eRank with your traffic stats and then you look into that, if there's some keywords that look kind of good, but you hadn't thought of them and you're getting a few views for them, maybe if you go and optimize your titles and your tags for those keywords, you'd get seen for them even more. I've done that myself. I've looked and said, "Oh, I don't have that anywhere. I'll stick that in one of my tags," and then suddenly you get seen even more. And there is another sort of third thing. If a buyer searches for something that very, very few listings are available for, The Etsy algorithm wants to show the buyer something, so it takes a guess. You might not have those words anywhere in your listing, but the algorithm goes, try that. And it's not worth worrying about. Sometimes it throws up things just because it's trying to learn, is your listing the thing that it thinks it is? So it can use some kind of related things, it can use a little bit of context. If you look at some of the keywords that you get found for, it can also literally throw up absolutely random things. But don't worry, if you get seen for keywords that are irrelevant and the customer doesn't buy, doesn't hurt your listing at all. The algorithm gets the feedback that, yeah, maybe that wasn't a good one.
Yeah.
I hope that covered all versions of the question.
But if not, feel free to let us know. We can always add on or talk about it next week. All right. So, Abigail, if we create a product using the customer's personal media to customize the product, how long are we recommended to keep their files? I was thinking 100 days, and that's how long they have to leave a review, but don't know if there's a legal precedent. Thank you, eRank team. So, in terms of GDPR, any type of personally identifiable information, there's no, I don't think that there is a clear, like, oh, you can only have it for this many days, but you're not supposed to keep it for longer than necessary. So I dare say that 100 days, as long as you're actually, I mean, that's the fact that you're asking means that you're miles ahead of a lot of people. So that's great that you are, concerned with holding on to their personal media. Um, I dare say that after the review period or once they've left a review, you're probably fine to delete it. But I don't think, at least not the last time that I looked, because there's tons of photo services. Like, for example, I just got an email from Shutterfly, which holds photos, and you can, personalize different photo related gifts with photos. Um, I just got an email about them just now deleting my photos, and I haven't logged into that site in like 8 years. And they're just now telling me that they're going to delete my photos, due to inactivity. So, 100 days, probably fine. Sounds good to me.
Yeah, I don't know anything better than that. That could be very much something you could put into your policies as well, or FAQs, to say this is how long I'm keeping your. I think the GDPR, the whatever things, also you need to have in place a way that if someone contacts you and says get rid of all my data, you have to be able to
Yeah.
do that. So that is something that probably all of us need to think about a little bit more. But yeah.
Yeah, if you download those Etsy shipping labels and they're just sitting on your computer with their personally identifiable information, like their physical mailing address and their name, those are things that you should maybe go into your downloads folder and delete every once in a while. Don't hold on to those longer than you need to.
Yeah, really good point. For people who download stuff, check what you're saving. I hadn't thought of that, but I am lazy and don't download anything, and I also have run out of so much space on my main computer. But for the rest of yeah, check what you're saving. That's a really good point.
All right, let's see. I have an blah, 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 blah. I have an established maker shop and am in the process of opening a supply shop where I'll mostly be buying wholesale from one main manufacturer. The manufacturer has a unique name for each item I will be selling and does not sell retail anywhere. There are, however, about 4 stores that I will compete with on Etsy. Between us five Etsy stores selling these products, can we all use the same unique manufacturer name for the products without getting copyright strike between us, with the understanding that the manufacturer does not put restrictions? That is something that you would have to sort out with the manufacturer themselves. There is always the possibility that one of these other sellers could attempt to give you a copyright strike, but it's not their copyright. They don't own that IP. So if they did, you could always dispute it. But this is a question for the manufacturer. Even if they don't put restrictions on it, you need to make sure that they you selling those products on Etsy. Even if other people do it, you need to make sure that it is okay for you to sell them specifically on Etsy. because the only person that could file a legitimate copyright claim against you is the owner of that intellectual property, which would be the original manufacturer. Other sellers who are reselling those products do not own the IP on them.
Yeah, and there's nothing in Etsy that's immediately going to flag you because 3 or 4 other shops are using the same keyword. There's as many people as need to can use the same keyword if you're allowed to use the same keyword. But it is best to contact the manufacturer and check what are the rules for using their name and everything. That with anything, I mean, I think we've mentioned this so many times, but with anything, contact the person that owns whatever it is and ask them, can I use it in this way? Even probably a lot of us don't know, but if you're somewhere talking about Etsy and things, there's certain ways we're supposed to talk about Etsy. There's certain ways we're supposed to share their logos and everything. There's a whole section about it. It's the same with Facebook and Google and everything. There is actually rules about how we're supposed to use these. So, yeah, always check up on it.
Yes. All right. Jessica's hitting us with a hypothetical question. All right. She's throwing us a curveball. Say I sell tote bags and a customer finds my listing by typing the keyword tote bag into Etsy. They message me looking for a custom listing for something similar and then purchase that custom listing. Would the original listing that they found me through get any type of boost as well? That exact listing wasn't sold, but I did make a sale via keyword match for tote bag for that listing. I think it would only count if they found you via an ad, right? Like you would get either way, we don't have anything from Etsy. So this is just, us kind of speculating based on what we do know. But I dare say that original listing isn't the one whose quality score would be affected. It would be the subsequent listing that they ended up actually purchasing, unless they found you via an ad, right?
Sort of. Yes. The ad, I don't think it helps your listing score, but they definitely link them up so they can charge you for things, basically.
Right.
But you do get a slight sort of boost in quality score for someone searching for that term and clicking on your listing, because they had like 20 other listings on that page they could have clicked on and they chose yours. So you get a little boost that way. And in your shop, if you've made a sale and you get a good review and all those things, that helps your entire shop. So it's all good. I am not aware of Etsy being able, well, they're totally able to track these things. I'm not aware if they track and see, oh, you clicked on that and then went off and purchased something else in the shop. It certainly doesn't hurt. I guess there's a chance that Etsy could keep track of these things because it is kind of data that they have and it is kind of good. But it's also not worth worrying about. A lot of people stress about these things, like if someone comes asking for a custom order, how am I going to do this to get the best boost in SEO? Don't just what's the best thing for your customer? What's the best way to deal with your customer? Getting a sale is good for your entire shop. And getting a good review, getting a good customer experience. So, yes, you'll probably get a wee boost to that listing. You'll get a wee boost to your whole shop. But most importantly, you'll have a nice, happy customer.
Absolutely. And it helps your overall customer and marketplace experience score. So that's no matter what they buy, Etsy's like, okay, somebody found something that they liked, and that's always a good sign. Okay. Nina, I assume, is not here anymore. However, I did want to acknowledge her question simply because we get this question a lot. Nina had said, why are eRank search volume numbers consistently so much higher than Everbee's and Marmalede's? If I followed Everbee and Marmalede's numbers, there are far fewer keywords I'd design for. So we can't speak on behalf of other companies because we are not them. Obviously, we don't know what kind of data they have, but we can speak on behalf of eRank. eRank is the biggest Etsy SEO tool. We're the biggest. We're the most used. We I would assume because we are the biggest, it's also easy to assume that we have the largest customer base, right? Because we have the most traffic. It's easy to assume that because we have the largest customer base, we probably have more revenue coming in, right? And what we do with that money is we buy more data. Every time our customer base goes up or we get a big influx of new members, Anthony is trying to perfect the tool. Nobody's getting a big pay raise here at eRank. We are deciding on a new marketplace. We are adding something. I think we actually just added. What's the other Etsy? Etsy owns another. I know that we've got Depop and Reverb. Those are all Etsy owned, but there was another one that we added.
Oh, I haven't spotted that.
Yeah, there's a new one in there. But anyway, regardless, we buy data in big, big, big quantities. So if you're seeing that our search volume numbers are a lot higher than, smaller competitors, it's likely just because we have more data. We are able to purchase that because we have the customer base to support it. Data is expensive. It is brand new house every month expensive. And I think that that's a really great thing. This quote, I always say it, but data cannot be inaccurate if it is true data. It can only become more accurate the more that it is quantified. Data becomes more accurate the more. His shorts make me laugh. He's wearing Patrick, like from SpongeBob shorts. I'm sorry. Data can only become more accurate the more data that you have. You get more precise the more that you quantify that data. So thankfully, when it comes to eRank, we've got a lot of it, and you guys are able to get the very, very best results by looking at that data and finding, what the majority of, or I dare say, the average Etsy shopper is looking for. Because obviously nobody has the raw data from Etsy. We do have some things that come direct from Etsy's API, but search data is not something that Etsy shares. So we have a trusted third party that collects that data ethically. That means that they're not like stealing it from people. And that's one of the things that I love about Anthony is he makes sure that all of the data that we get, it does come from millions and millions and millions of panelists, but those panelists do so willfully, which is super duper awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. As Starla says, we can't speak about other tools. They're not here to defend themselves.
It's true.
But if you're finding a lot of potential keywords for giving you lots of ideas to design for things, then that's got to be a good thing. With any keywords, with any keyword tool or whatever else, it's science, it's experimentation. It's giving you ideas of things that you can have a go with. So if you're finding that the keywords that we're giving you are giving you loads of good ideas for things to experiment with, then I'd say that's a win, basically. But yeah, we don't know where other people get their data from, and can't we can't really speculate on it. But we know Anthony works really hard with getting our data, so that's why me and Starla are here working with eRank.
Absolutely. All right, Kaz. I messaged Etsy support earlier today about mystery boxes, if we can sell them or not. Like if I wanted to list one with all the items a buyer can possibly receive being put in the description, all they said is, I can't give specific information about this product. And later said, you can check check in this article. And later again saying, we can't give you more specific information about this product. That's pretty typical of, because Etsy.
Sadly, yeah, I really wish they would. There was some way that they could give you feedback on, yes, that listing's okay, or no, that's not. My understanding is mystery boxes are a no on Etsy, but I'll have to find the articles again.
Yeah. So Etsy community, I mean, I'm seeing some, varying answers. Here's what we know about the laws when it comes to anything related to mystery items, especially when it comes to Europe. Um, a lot of, and it all started with, video games and like loot boxes in mobile games where they would target little kids and like, oh, you pay money, you get this mystery box, you don't know what you get, and maybe it's like a weapon in your game or something. But because you don't know what you're getting, it turns into an issue of it being kind of like a gamble. It falls under gambling. You don't know what you're receiving. The last I heard was that if you are doing some type of box on Etsy, you must disclose what is in it. That is the last I heard. Whether that's changed or not, I'm unsure. But you have to disclose not what could be in it, but what is in it. So I know that that sucks because that takes away the mystery. However, most mystery boxes, I would assume, are given as gifts. So the recipient still won't know what's in it. The person who's buying it will likely want to know what's in it so that they can give it to somebody else. So I would disclose what is in it and then just not put anything about it on the box itself with the assumption that it is going to be shipped to a recipient or that it is going to be handed straight to a recipient as a gift. Second thing is that everything in that box has to be handmade. You cannot go make a mystery box and put packs of M&Ms and, candles that you buy at the store. Do a lot of people do it? Yeah. But it's not allowed. Everything that goes into that box has to both comply with Etsy's policies on handmade, vintage, craft supply. If you're making like a kit to crochet something, that's fine. But it also has to comply with copyright and IP. If you're selling a bag of M&Ms in that box, you didn't make those M&Ms, and M&Ms doesn't belong to you. So you can get in trouble for that as well. So just be cautious of what you're putting in there.
Yeah, that was my understanding too. I think I remember it was about 3 or 4 years ago. It was a huge thing on YouTube to buy mystery boxes and to look at them, and that was when I heard Etsy was saying, "No, you can't do that." So I haven't heard anything since, but if I get time this evening, I will dig through the policies again and see if there's anything specific.
Yeah, I tried to pull it up because I've covered this before. Um, but a lot of people are like, Etsy doesn't explicitly prohibit mystery boxes, but the items have to comply. So I haven't found they did have a specific section on gift baskets though. So you'll have to double check with that. Okay. Jonathan asked, why is eRank's views through the changes menu so much higher than Etsy product views and visits? So I'm assuming you mean in the track changes tool. Why are views in the track changes tool so much higher than Etsy product views and visits? From what I'm understanding.
Yeah. Firstly, they shouldn't be. But it depends if we're comparing apples with apples here. The track changes where it says, I can't, right, I'm going to muddle up views and visits because it's been a long day. But where it says views, that's going to be your total views, and then it tells you the number that have been added that day. The number added should be the same as what Etsy's telling you if you're looking at views not visits or visits not views, if you're looking at the same thing. If it is significantly different, then I would drop the help team an email. That is a glitch. The views on your own things in the track changes should be the same because that data comes from the Etsy API, and if it's off, then there's something that's a glitch on somebody's end. Not going to say it's always Etsy, but it's often Etsy.
Yeah. And also keeping in mind that if you're checking same day, Etsy filters out bot views every 24 hours, but that would lead to your Etsy views looking higher than what we have in eRank because, our changes are only populated every 24 hours as well. So by the time that 24 hours rolls around, it should technically match back up. But Etsy does filter out, like if you look one day and your views are like high, and then you look the next day and you notice that it's dropped back down or that it's just not adding up. It a lot of it can be bot views as well, but Etsy's pretty good about filtering those out. Okay, let's see. The source matters. Yes, it does. I say that every time I see a comment from you. Why are my listings spotted on Etsy, but monitor shows none? Well, you can't really be spotted on Etsy unless you're monitoring something, right?
Yeah, a screenshot of what you're talking about would really help here. Both myself and Starla are really tired today and probably not firing the best. What I can think on is the keywords that you're monitoring you might not be spotted for, just because you're not ranking for those keywords, but you might be showing up, you might be being spotted for other keywords than the ones that you're monitoring, those bonus keywords that we talked about at the start of the stream. That's the only thing that I can think of. But if you're in our Facebook group, if you're not, it should be in the description of this video. Join the Facebook group, pop a screenshot of what you're talking about, and that might help my poor slow brain today.
All right, Margot. Hi, I want to edit some listings that were marked as Etsy pics. Can I change tags and title and edit variations? I will keep the same picture on the thumbnail, changing cushion case only to actual cushion. I mean, you can. I can't promise you that we don't know how the Etsy Picks badge works. We have no idea what the factors are that really contribute to any of the Etsy badges that they give you, aside from, the obvious, like free shipping, the like bestseller badge. We really don't know what, threshold they use to qualify someone as a bestseller. We don't know what they use for Etsy Picks. I mean, if you're selling a different item though, and you have to change your tags and titles to reflect what the customer is actually going to receive, then that is more important than keeping the Etsy pick badge, because you need to, be selling something accurate, right? You need to make sure that your listing is accurate to what the product is. But if you're offering both a cushion case to the cushion, if you're offering both of those items, then maybe keep that listing where it is as the case, and then list the actual cushion as a separate listing, unless you're just eliminating the cushion case altogether.
Yeah, if you've significantly changed it to a different item, then I would make a new listing, because the SEO you've got and everything for that is for a significantly different thing. If you're just maybe adding some variations, adding more to it or clarifying it a bit, it shouldn't be an issue. But at the same time, if the Etsy pick is working, my understanding is the Etsy pick is things that are picked by a human. I think it's like the staff picking things that they're going to want to show on something. So if they've already shown you, then it probably won't hurt you. But if it's working, if you're getting traffic from it, then I wouldn't change anything and maybe make a new listing just in case, because we can't tell you if it's going to break things. But if you change it and it does break things, it might be too late. So if it's working, leave it alone.
Back to the question about why are my listings spotted on Etsy but Monitor shows none. I have 6 keywords in my list and have had 2 spotted on Etsy for those words. But when I click Monitor, it says that my listings have not been spotted on Etsy in the last 24 hours.
Right. There's a couple of tabs on Spot. It's probably easier. Can you pop some screenshots in the Facebook group? But there are a few tabs in the Spotted on Etsy, so check that you're not being spotted in a different tab. But this would probably be easier with a screenshot. I'm possibly not getting what might be the problem here. So that.
Yeah. Take a screenshot, pop it into the eRank group on Facebook, and we can take a look at it from there. Okay, let's see. All right, this one's kind of confusing me. I think I know what you're asking, though. What is the difference between Category A offerings in eRank and Category B? How bad is Category B? Are you talking about listing audit grades? Because those are grades. What is it when you get an A grade in school? That's a good grade. If you get a B grade in school, that's still a good grade. It's, basically what the listing audit is telling you is how well your listing follows Etsy's current best practices. Doesn't mean your listing's good, doesn't mean your keywords are good, doesn't mean your listing's bad, doesn't mean your keywords are bad. It is just telling you how well you have adhered to what Etsy tells us is a best practice for a listing. You can have a listing with an A grade though, and none of the keywords that you use in that listing are even being searched for by anybody, and that listing never sells even with the grade being an A. What I recommend using your listing audit for is when you first created a listing or while you're creating a listing. It's a good way to make sure that you're getting that listing out on, the very best terms, making sure that you've done everything that you possibly can to send that little listing off into the world. Or if you've got a listing that never sells, it doesn't get any love from customers, that might be a great time to look at the listing audit and see if there's any obvious mistakes that you made when you first listed the product. But don't take the listing audit as gospel, because really it's not a human telling you that your listing is good or bad. It's a checklist. And in fact, a couple years ago, the listing audit, you could have a listing that sold every day and the grade be like a D. Well, recently we changed the listing audit to basically your grade will reflect your sales. So if you have been getting good, sales on a listing, even if it doesn't follow Etsy's best practices, we try to make sure that your grade reflects that. So you're not inclined to go in there and start tinkering with a listing that is doing great on its own.
Yeah. A grade A or a grade B are probably good enough in terms of the listing audit. Basically, as Starla said, it means you've Constantine, thank you for subscribing. Um, yeah, it means you filled everything out good enough according to best practices. You've checked all the boxes. As Starla says, it doesn't mean it's necessarily a great listing. There's lots more going into it, but if it's an A or a B, probably even a C, it's good. It's good enough when you've launched it. Then, if over time it's doing well, it's ranking for the keywords that you wanted it to rank for, it's getting views and it's getting sales, fantastic. That's great. What you want to be doing is looking for those low hanging fruit. The grades that I think we go down as far as an E. If you've got something that's an E grade, then that's saying, what should I work on today? Oh, I'll go and have a look at that. If you've got a listing that's an A or a B and it's been up for months and months and it's really not getting anything, then that's telling you, okay, I maybe need to go and look in, have the keywords I picked been good enough? But you do not, like, the entire team sits with our head in our hands when someone new jumps on and goes, hi, I just found eRank and I've turned all my grades to an A now. And we're like, please don't. So
It's got a big
don't.
warning in the listing audit that says not to do that, and people still miss it.
Yep, absolutely. Jonathan, thank you for the sub as well.
All right. Let's see. Anna, my eyes are confused. By the way, Starla is speaking as an SEO expert, but there's also a pumpkin winking at me. Hey now. Hey, pumpkin is a great keyword, by the way. We woke up at 5:30 in the morning, and by 7 a.m. we were in line at Starbucks because they just rolled out all their pumpkin stuff this morning. So it was very good. Very yummy. You don't have all that pumpkin stuff over there, do you?
Are we getting it a wee bit? I don't quite necessarily understand it, but like Starbucks and stuff will do a pumpkin spice thing. We're aware of this, and they'll throw it at us sometimes. I like the spices, but I don't like the idea that now, because I think Starbucks had to start putting actual pumpkins in their pumpkin spice things. I don't
Yes.
want pumpkins in my coffee, thanks. That's weird.
It's very good. It's like a pumpkin pie.
Yeah, we don't have pumpkins. My
I
mum
know.
made it once. Not a fan.
She,
It was
well, maybe
might have
she
been a
did it
bad one.
wrong.
I like all the spices though. I think that's a very good thing. I just don't like pumpkins.
All right. Let's see. The source matters. How do I leverage keyword competition for many keywords and products? I'm not, hmm, I'm not quite sure. How do I leverage keyword competition for many keywords and products? You're not really leveraging your competition. You're just, when you're looking at different keywords, competition is just helping you to gain a general awareness for how difficult it might be to rank for that specific type of product. If you are trying to rank, for a search term that has over 1 million competitors also trying to rank for that search term, that's a pretty good indication that you're going to struggle a little bit to rank for that search term. Leveraging your competition, I mean, really what you want to be doing is looking for keywords that have either low competition, or if you're a seller that already has a bit of notoriety in the marketplace and you have a decent, number of sales, you can rank for more competitive keywords and pay a little less attention to the number of competition, but I still wouldn't be putting, all of my poker chips into the pot on a keyword that is over 1 million competitors and making that my superstar keyword. It's just, it should be something that you are aware of when you're searching for keywords. Because when I see a keyword that has high searches and that competition is lower, like in, the yellow and green, I get super excited. It's like, oh, wow, I found, a little pot of gold. Like that's a good sign to me. Um, Anything, that where the competition is really high, that would be a keyword that I would, expect to have to spend a little bit more time with to really gain traction for that search term.
Yeah, it's such a huge question, which doesn't sound like it. Um, but that is the main thing of keyword research. And you don't just look at one metric. You want to look at them all in combination with each other. So how many people are searching? Are they clicking on it? How much competition is there? Also, how good is the competition? Go and have a look on Etsy, or if you scroll down on the keyword tool in eRank, you can get a look at some of the listings that are there. How relevant are they for those keywords? How relevant is your listing as well for those keywords? How good, like if you have a very good listing that's been getting a lot of sales, you might be able to aim for something a bit more competitive. But we do, in this YouTube channel, we do have a load of videos on finding keywords, how to write titles and tags and everything that goes into that in a little more detail, because it really is quite a big subject. And the the TLDR of it is there's no right and wrong. You pick a level that you think you can do well for, you experiment with it, and if that doesn't work, you maybe find keywords that are more searched for, or you find keywords that have lower competition and you experiment with that. And yeah, selling on Etsy is all about keeping on experimenting, basically.
All right. Is there a way to favorite listings, not keywords, on eRank? I mean, you can track your competitors, but you can't really favorite their listings or track their individual listings in that way.
Yeah, nothing for a specific listing. Um, what would you like to do with that information? It's something we, if there was some good use that we could do from favoriting a listing, from tracking someone else's listing that wasn't too made Anthony feel like he needed a good scrub. But if it wasn't too weird sounding, then it's possible we could convince him that that's something that we could add if it's something that sounds like a good reason to track.
Yeah. Also considering, if we added that, how would you feel if somebody sat and tracked your listing and stared at it, all day to try to reverse engineer it? Would that upset you? Because we always try to think of that when developing tools. How will this feel, both for the person trying to learn, but also the person being learned from? So always good to put the shoe on the other foot and try to consider. All
Absolutely.
right.
You'd be so, it's not a load of people, but there is a steady stream of people asking if we can remove their data from eRank, which we don't actually hold really any of their data. It's all public data from Etsy. But when you when you find out they've been using eRank and snooping everybody else, you're like, that's a bit of a cheek, isn't it?
All right. All right, this is my favorite question. How long does it take to have a store on Etsy to get sales going at all, assuming I have good listings and keywords? Some say a minimum of 3 months, others say 6 months. I want you to take everybody who says 3 months and 6 months and stop listening to them and push them aside, because that is not correct. There is no answer to that question. There is no way to answer that question. And let me tell you why. I answer this question a lot, or I guess I don't answer this question a lot, but it's important to know the why behind it. If I told you that I went on a diet last week and I ate 6 salads, and then I said, when am I going to start losing weight? Could you answer that question? You couldn't. There is information missing. If I told you last week I bought a race car and I said, when am I going to win my first race? Again, there's information missing. There's no algorithm that gives you sales on a special day. That question, the question of when will I get sales, factors out the most important thing when it comes to selling on Etsy. And that is the human that wants to buy your product. There's no algorithm, there's no robot, there's no calendar ticking down where on a special day you get a sale. A human being, a real person with a need, an interest, or a problem has to be scrolling through Etsy, and they have to see your item next to all of the other similar items on a search page. They have to click that listing, look through your photos, look through your description, look at your price, look at how long it's going to take to arrive to them, and they have to choose you over all of the other listings. That human being is the only factor that's going to determine how long it's going to take you to make your first sale, on top of obviously the factors that you mentioned, keywords, great photos, things like that. I will be launching another Etsy shop later this month. When I launch that shop, it is going to make sales immediately. I know it is going to make sales immediately because I'm putting in grunt work ahead of time and collecting a target audience for that shop of people who are already interested in buying what I want to sell. My experience will be completely different from somebody who, doesn't start a social media account first, or who doesn't start social media at all. My experience is going to be completely different from somebody who has a different niche than me. I'm going to be selling merchandise, related to books. My experience is going to be completely different from somebody who sells dog collars, for example, or, I don't know, journals or planner stickers. Everybody's unique experience is going to be different based on millions of both internal and external factors. Social media, the niche that you've selected, the demographics of the niche that you've selected, seasonality. Your photos may be good, but are they good for the target customers that you've selected? Sometimes the greatest photos in the world get ignored and a crappy photo does good. Pam's had a photo in her shop that she's wanted to update, but her customers like the old photo. So she leaves the old photo in there. There's so many factors, but don't listen to anyone who says you should be able to have sales like in 3 months or within 6 months, or you should make X dollars by X days. It takes so many days to be successful. They are making that stuff up off the top of their head. They are saying things for the sake of hearing themselves talk. There is it's a human factor, not a clock or a calendar or an algorithm.
Yeah, I do want to add, you might hear like something in the eRank group. We don't say it takes this amount of time, but sometimes people will come on and they'll say, my shop's been open for a month and I've only had 6 sales. So quite a lot of us will give the advice that
Right.
basically it can take, sometimes people are taking 3 months or 6 months to even get their first sale. That's not saying that's what you should experience, but we're saying you are doing really well.
Right.
Maybe
It takes
your
time.
expectations were higher because people can really struggle to get going. But it it depends on you. What, like, Starla has all this experience that most of us don't have, this experience with social media marketing. As she was talking there, I was thinking, right, we're on YouTube just now. You're looking at us from YouTube. So probably you'll have been shown a video by Mr. Beast at some point in your time on YouTube. He's kind of big here. So Mr. Beast has launched a few things, not on Etsy, but he decided to try and sell burgers. And burgers is a good one if you ignore the latest drama. But at the start of the pandemic, lots of burger shops, well, lots of restaurants were doing really badly, obviously. Now, these were people who had big experience in this kind of thing. But he was able to come in and leverage a following he already had and you help these people out, but to make lots of sales. So he already had this kind of following and was able to do better than people who had been around for probably decades with their little mom and pop, restaurant type thing. So that his past experience at other things gave him that kind of kickstart. But if you've just started, you have no social media following, you've never done any of these things, you just make something and you want to sell it, you don't know what you don't know yet. You don't know about keywords, you don't know about social media, you don't even know what people are wanting to buy. So you've got a whole load of learning curve, and it's not a bad thing. We all started there. Myself and Starla started from nothing at some point, but when we start again, when we try and do something different, we've learnt some things that we can take in and hopefully get a better head start than most of people starting from nothing. So yeah, we don't know. We like if you have the most amazing product in the world, it takes a bit of luck to get spotted by the right people and stuff, but you could do really well just by having an amazing product. If you're already a celebrity, you can do really well selling junk. It's depends what your superpower is. But yeah, there's no exact number. And if you are making sales within the 3 or 6 months time, you're doing really well. Yeah, that's it. It's more a case of, oh, so my chair's making awful noises. But yeah, we want to pat you on the back and just say, because so many people quit Etsy because their expectations were too high, and they might be doing better than most people, and then they're like, I haven't bought my first yacht in 2 months, what's going wrong? So that's just to get a realistic expectation that there's a lot going on and you might be doing better than you think.
Yeah, Jonathan had said is what you just described, taught in Handmade Alpha Academy. Um, the individual points of contact are so all of the things where I'm like, do you have a social media audience? Do you have an email list? How big? Those are though each individual point of contact, whether it be Etsy search, which that's internal traffic, driving from social media, direct marketing, which is like an email list. Those are the three forms of traffic for Etsy. You're either going to have organic, which is your Etsy SEO. You're going to have external, which is people you're driving from social media, and you're going to have direct. Direct is like having an email list and marketing directly to people who are already interested in there. And yeah, we do talk about that in HAA, but for everybody who isn't in Handmade Alpha Academy, those are the 3 points of contact that you need to focus on. Direct is the most advanced. It's the one that most people wait on, because it does take a little bit more time. It takes a little bit more research to learn about. Starting out though, Etsy SEO, which is your internal, and external being social media advertising. Those are your best, easiest, and cheapest, because SEO free to do. It's free, other than using eRank. But if you're on a basic plan, $5.99 a month, that's pretty cheap. And then social media, you don't have to put ads on social media. Social media is free. You just need to make sure that you have a compelling social media feed and that you're marketing effectively, reaching your target audience, making sure you know who they are. You can't reach them if you don't know who they are. And then using effective keyword strategies on social media. Instagram's algorithm words that you use in your captions in order to identify what it is that you want to be known for, so that they can show that content to people who are interested in that type of thing. So it really all kind of ties back into research and keyword consistency and having a niche and being consistent across that niche. So yeah, TikTok is full of teachers about Etsy stores, and this is what they say. Anybody can grab their phone and record a TikTok. So always ask them to, verify by citing their sources. If they can't cite an official source, then be wary of what they say. Because, like I said, when Pam and I speculate, we try to say we're not sure, but we can speculate.
Yeah, be aware there is no official regulation for an Etsy guru of any type. I actually last year was invited to talk for Etsy in the Etsy shop camp, and I had no training, or I was only vetted from what they saw in my videos and things, and then legal went through what I was going to talk about and made sure I was talking about legal things. But there's no anybody getting trained, as Starla said, literally anybody can pick up their phone. I mean, TikTok is the lowest barrier to entry out there. You just pick up your phone and talk on it. You can say literally anything you
I don't know. I've
want.
seen some very well recorded YouTube videos that spew absolute nonsense as well with professional setups.
Yeah, it's so annoying, isn't it? You look and go, this is a beautiful video full of rubbish. Yeah.
All the time. All right, let's see. And Jonathan had said, not a question. Just wanted to thank you, Starla and Pam. Been watching you both for about a year and finally producing consistent sales. Doubled them this month. You're both legendary. That is absolutely awesome. And guys, we are seeing the very first searches for Christmas products. Tons of my students have said that they are getting their first sales for their Christmas items. I've had tons of people say that the Christmas shoppers have started earlier than ever this year. That is absolutely awesome and a great sign. It means that if you don't have Christmas stuff in your shop, get that stuff listed. Start thinking about the holidays. Start thinking about, if you haven't considered when you're going to stop shipping for the holidays, for example. There are so many things to consider. Get stocking up on packaging. If you like to, do gift wrap and fun stuff, buy that stuff now. It sells out so quick around holiday time. But for everybody who's wondering, like, when should I list holiday stuff? You can go into eRank not right now and type Christmas into the keyword tool. A little green bar will pop up at the top of the screen that says that this keyword is especially popular this week. That tells us that when we get our August keyword data around the first of the month, we're likely going to see some Christmas searches in there. So really exciting.
Yeah, and for those who haven't done a Christmas on Etsy yet, the final quarter of the year is always the highest on Etsy for sales. Doesn't mean as an individual shop, like everybody's going to do amazing. Hopefully you all are. And obviously, like some people won't be seasonal for Christmas, but most of our items are in some way giftable, even if it's things that people gift to themselves. So there is going to be the most traffic just coming up. So really, this is the time to beware, because this is probably the end of what's been the most quiet time on Etsy. We know it has been kind of quiet. There's still millions of shoppers, but it's still quiet. So it's not really the time to go, oh, none of my listings are working, and freak out and change everything. Like, before you go and get all your A's and everything, check that you're ranking for the keywords that you'd aimed for. Check what keywords are picking up and looking good. Check what keywords worked for you last year. And perhaps spend more time, if you can, if it works for your shop, creating some new listings to experiment with. So many people freak out just now and like change all your listings when actually maybe they were in a good place. There just wasn't anyone searching quite yet. So this is the time to get everything in place, to get everything listed, to buy all your supplies, because how many years have we seen like boxes and things running out and people can't get their supplies yet? So get everything done that way. Actually, a silly thing that I was just thinking of recently, because I felt my things, it's been a quiet time of the year, I got a bit lazy. I actually get RSI if I don't felt a little bit all the time. And I was thinking, for people, if you hand sign all your notes and everything, it might be an idea to do a little bit of signing just now, because if you've got millions to do in November, any little tasks that might sort of be wearing on your body. I sound like such an old person now, but like if you haven't written anything down, because we type, if you haven't written in months and suddenly you have to sign 200 little notes, might actually hurt.
It does.
Yep. So see what things you can get done just now.
All right. I think we have time for our last two. Does the number of bestsellers for a keyword affect how likely you are to rank well? Well, I mean, Etsy likes to see, what it is that your shop's all about. We definitely have evidence to believe that um, keywords kind of web together. And if you are a shop that specializes in handbags and all you sell are handbags, and you make lots of sales for handbags and you've got lots of great reviews for handbags, that if, Betty over here is searching for handbags on Etsy, she's more likely to see your handbag shop in search than she is to see, Jeff's shop over here where Jeff sells t-shirts, but he just happens to have one handbag. So yeah, bestsellers, for specific keywords, I mean, definitely.
Yeah, if it's your listings that are getting bestsellers, absolutely. A bestseller is fantastic. If you're seeing a lot of bestsellers from other people, then yes, it will mean that these are really good listings and they're selling well in for that niche. It doesn't mean that you're not necessarily going to be able to rank. You might not be able to, if they're number one, you might not hit the number one spot, but in the screen that the buyers are going to see, there's at least 20 listings sitting there that they can see. So yeah, not all of them will be a bestseller, but the more, this is something I spoke about earlier today, for a keyword of something like wedding ring, you don't really want to aim for wedding ring, but everything that's doing well for wedding ring will be massive sellers because they've proven themselves to Etsy. So you're seeing bestsellers for wedding ring or something, you really ain't got a chance of ranking because it's just such, everything there has sold so much. There'll be such big shops. But if you're looking for something like dog bookmark, there's not so many of them. So yeah, other people might have a bestseller, but if I make something really amazing, there's a good chance that I might sneak in some sales and I might get the bestseller badge later on.
All right, let's see. Um, okay, so this one is a little hard. Any tips for digital wall art? I had asked you to be more specific, but I meant more, not about more specific about what you sell, more specific about your question, because there are no universal, or there are no tips that we can give for, I sell this, can you give me tips? There, it's just too broad of a question. Um, because I'm lacking information. I'm lacking, tips about what specifically, tips about keyword research. And even then, Etsy's work, there's no magic tip that we can give you, like quick tips. And that's why TikTok I really hate, because TikTok is all like quick tips, quick tips. While it's fun to digest that type of content, that is not the type of content that helps you grow. Quick tips don't make successful shops. It takes a lot of time and research. So my universal tip for any business, whether it be digital, whether, no matter what you sell, is to choose one area of your business. Either, pick branding, pick SEO, pick competitor research, pick social media growth, and target in on that specific thing. The cool thing about Pam and I is we both have our own YouTube channels where we teach a ton of extra content. I'm big on teaching SEO related content. I'm big on teaching common pitfalls and mistakes that sellers make. Pam also uploads videos here on this YouTube channel, the eRank channel, where she talks about specific eRank tools. Pam does some really, really awesome, like I would consider them competitor analysis. She does, she's got a great deep dive that she did into an Etsy shop, where I, kind of guest starred on that for a minute. But during that video, she's looking at a shop that blew up out of nowhere, and she deep dives into why. But anybody could take that information and apply it to their competitors and learn a ton. So pick your specific, thing, whatever it may be, whatever area of your business that you want to work on, and deep dive into those topics. I'm Starla Moore. She's Pam Duthie. You can find us both down below in the links. If you want to dive into our channels, you can look at this channel and find tons more videos. But really, deep diving into those topics is the best way that you can support your growth, and never stop. This is a constant journey. It's a journey that's you are forever going to be in. So can't we please name of, or wait, are you asking for our shop names specifically?
Yeah, shop names. I'm Ben McFuzzylugs. You can go. It's not something I hide because I. Yeah, don't copy me. And my shop's terrible just now because unfortunately I leave so many things in so I can look at them through eRank and
You
everything.
can see them in the background of her video. They're
Yep.
there.
Yeah, but that's the name of the shop. Yep.
Yeah.
But don't do as I say, not as I do, very much, because it's got to the point. The problem with me certainly, and I think I kind of speak for Starla, is we could absolutely do a shop that makes our entire living and not do anything else, but we want to do other stuff. We want to help you guys. We want to not just be based on one thing. So my shop's not as big as it could be because I get bored very easily, basically. I'm very good at trying to learn how to do a thing. And then once I know how to do a thing, I want to move on and learn how to do the next thing. So, yeah.
All right. So we had a couple extra questions in here, but we are 3 minutes past due. So Jonathan and Ryan, I do apologize, but we will be back on Thursday if you want to submit those questions. Or if you don't want to wait, pop them into the eRank group, link down below. Feel free to ask questions there. We've got a great community there. Otherwise, save them for next Thursday. And hopefully by then, Pam and I will be more awake. But we really do appreciate you guys hanging out and watching. Again, feel free to subscribe to mine and Pam's channels. Those are linked down below. Subscribe to the eRank channel. We're here every week. I'll be live tomorrow at noon Eastern. We've got a bit of an Etsy movement going on. I'm not going to talk about it here, but feel free to check out my channel if you've been disgruntled by Etsy lately. I've got some details over there. Pam's, she might be doing the same thing on her channel because she's also disgruntled.
Yep,
So come
possibly.
hang out. Are you
Yeah.
streaming Saturday
Not streaming. It'll be a
or a video?
kind of recorded video. Yeah. I every Saturday now we do the Etsy news, which people seem to like. So yeah, I'll keep
Awesome.
doing it.
So hang out with me live tomorrow. Check Pam's channel on Saturday for some Etsy news, and come back here in a week and we'll hang out with you again. But guys, thanks so much for watching. We will see you next Thursday.